In the States it's gear, in Britain it's kit, but one way to understand a piece of equipment is to see what came before it. Here I'll do side-by-side reviews of two packs I own, one from a few years ago and one from 4 decades earlier. I hope the discussion helps you decide which features to look for when you buy a pack of your own. In 1972, I purchased this Kelty frame pack. I used it heavily in the 1970s, but then it mostly spent decades in storage. Now that I'm hiking again, I still find excuses to use it. This picture was taken in 2017 in the Sandia Mountains. Not long ago, I contacted Kelty about the pack, but the tech support guy said he couldn't help with stuff made before he was born. Fortunately, I found Bruce Johnson's website, and he still owns an almost identical pack. I'll put a link in the description box. Thanks to that website, I know that my setup is a Model D4 pack on a Mountaineer frame. The empty pack and frame weigh 5.2 pounds or 2.4 kilos. 2 decades before I purchased my D4, Dick Kelty and his wife Nina started the Kelty line in a garage in California. This is Dick. I couldn't find a good picture of Nina, so I included the cover of her book. People argue about who invented what, but the Keltys were trailblazers when it came to making and selling packs with welded aluminum frames and all nylon construction. Looking through the few pictures I took back then, I found a couple where my new Kelty is in the picture. Kodachrome was a luxury to students like me, and we didn't waste film taking pictures of our gear. This picture shows the pack in the Grand Canyon in 1972. That's John Patton, my college roommate and hiking buddy, behind the pack. In this picture, I'm wearing my previous pack. I'm the guy on the left. The year is 1971 and the place is the Grand Canyon. At the time, I owned a Sierra Designs pack with one huge main compartment. I liked the pack, but I was a careless teenager and quickly beat it to pieces. During the hike, I got a close look at my buddy's Kelty, which you can see on his back. Before long, I purchased a D4 just like his. Having learned my lesson, I took better care of my new pack. I don't have any pictures of the pack from the most serious hike I ever did, so I'll show this picture instead. It was taken in the western Grand Canyon about New Year's Day, 1973. The hike lasted 2 weeks, and when I left Phantom Ranch, the pack weighed 70 pounds, or 32 kilos, which was 40% of my weight. 16 of those pounds were water. So what are the features of the D4? I'll review the features just like this was a new pack instead of being 46 years old. The standout feature is, of course, the capacity of the pack. My pack reviews use what I call the Whipple score, namely the number of mega rolls of toilet paper that will fit in a pack. That's because hikers don't pack cubic centimeters, they pack objects. The Whipple score for the main compartment is an impressive 21. The lower compartment is the sleeping bag compartment, and it holds 6 more rolls with room left over, so the total score for the pack is 27. Actually, I never used the lower compartment for my sleeping bag. I just threw more stuff in there and lashed my bag to the bottom of the pack frame. That's the setup you see here. Back to the main compartment. Kelty included a bar that holds the compartment open even when the pack is empty. Very handy for loading and unloading. Each of the 4 side zip pockets holds a 1-liter Nalgene bottle, so you can have a gallon handy during a hike. The back pocket is huge but shallow and clearly designed with paper maps in mind. In 1972, the only way to navigate during a hike was with a map and compass. 2 slotted patches on the sleeping bag compartment provide lashing points for crampons. It's not something I used in the desert. A loop and a pig snout allowed you to strap an ice axe to your pack. In 1972, no one had seen a collapsible hiking pole. The Mountaineer frame included pioneering features we take for granted today. The lumbar support and hip belt are padded, as are the shoulder straps. Unlike today's belts, there are no attachment points or pockets. I updated the hip belt by sewing on a camera case. The external frame and mesh band allow air to circulate between the pack and your back, though not as well as some packs today. My only change to the shoulder pads was to sew an attachment point on each one. If you want to go over the top, literally, the upper crossbar can be raised like I show here. That lets you lash just about anything you want to the frame and still have the full capacity of the pack. However, If you don't need to lash down the extra stuff, it's easier to lay it on top of the full main compartment and use the cover to hold it in place. It's way too late to buy a D4, but you can buy its direct descendant, the Kelty Trekker 65. In this age of ultralight backpacking, there are still times when you want to haul a boatload of heavy stuff. Once the weight gets up there, nothing beats an external frame pack. Besides, you can remove the bag and lash large items directly to the frame. I won't buy a Trekker 65 myself because I haven't worn out the D4 I purchased in 1972. If you buy one, I hope it lasts as long as mine has. Now for a look at today's preferred approach to larger loads, which means no external frame. The Granite Gear Rg 50 long is rated for 35 pounds or 16 kilos. What you see here is a discontinued model. With outdoor gear changing rapidly, companies need to discount old models to make room for new ones. If you're willing to settle for last year's cutting-edge gear, as I am, that plus some patient searching can get you outstanding products at bargain prices. The pack weighs 2.8 pounds or 1.3 kilos. The standout feature is how you can completely unzip the main compartment, which makes it easy to pack and unpack. There's an internal compression strap inside the main compartment. This side view shows how you can pack a wedge-shaped load with the thin part of the wedge near the top. That helps put the center of gravity down low, increasing your stability. The pack has a channeled contact surface to help keep your back dry. Not as effective as some packs on the market today, but a definite improvement over no air circulation at all. This perforated piece of plastic serves as the non-rigid internal frame. If you want to shave 200 grams off your trail weight, you can leave the piece of plastic at home. The pack is hydration ready. You can slip the hydration bladder inside the zippered compartment you see here. That's also where the plastic internal frame usually lives. Here you see me unsnap the 4 external compression straps so I can zip the main compartment all the way open. The Whipple score is 16, which is disappointing. That's the same score as for my Gregory Zulu 35, despite the Rg having a much higher liter rating. The disconnect between volume ratings and a pack's capacity for lumps of gear is why I came up with the Whipple score. The large mesh pocket makes it easy to pull out or stash your jacket and other light gear as conditions change. There's also a generous 3-section top pocket, including a key clip and a section that zips. The 2 mesh side pockets are just a bit too short and too loose for 1-liter Nalgene bottles. I had those bottles flip out of the pockets during hikes. It helped to run a compression strap over the bottle. 1-quart Gatorade bottles fit perfectly, so now I use those with the pack. If you use the 2 loops at the bottom of the pack plus the outside compression straps, you can stash a pair of hiking poles as securely as on any pack I've seen. The padded hip belts are interchangeable. No pockets. The belts include tool loops, but I don't hang gear that way. I wish that all padded belts, with or without pockets, had horizontal straps so I could add and remove my own pouches. The Rg50 has a strap like that on each pad, but wider straps would do a better job of securing pouches sized for regular belts. Since you're not likely to head into the woods with 16 rolls of toilet paper, here's the pack with an actual load. The outer mesh pockets have room for a wind and rain shell, a puffy jacket, and 2-quart Gatorade bottles. The top zip pocket has room for my winter gloves, a tube scarf, and a bandana, with room to spare for other small stuff. The upper part of the main compartment has room for a cook kit, including a pot and a gas stove, for a poncho and a first aid kit, and for a bag with enough food to last several days. The lower part of the main compartment has room for a Marmot Always Summer sleeping bag, a hammock and tarp, and the suspension gear for the hammock and tarp. With all that packed, the Rg50 still has a little room for the usual odds and ends. On the other hand, if I wanted to pack my tent and inflatable sleeping pad instead of the hammock and tarp, or if I wanted to add items like a camera tripod and a camp chair, I'd need to hang some gear on the outside. To me, that's a sign that you need a bigger pack for that specific outing. Both the Kelty D4 and the Granite Gear Rg50 do the jobs they were designed to do. 40 years ago, gear was heavy and bulky, and even a one-night trip required a pack such as the D4. Today's best gear is lighter and more compact, so a pack such as the AG50 makes sense. In the end, what's best for you depends directly on the weight and volume of the gear you haul. If you can afford just one good pack, get the one that holds enough gear for your most serious outings, and don't worry about the unused capacity on shorter jaunts. The empty space in a pack doesn't weigh anything.